I'm Maria Hall Brown, and this is LA Currents. Well, congratulations are in order for my guest today. I am delighted to be joined by the new Executive Director of StreetsLA, Keith Mozee. So fun to have you here. Okay, so 30 years with the City of Los Angeles. You've had quite the career. You actually started as a light truck operator. What were you, like 5?
No, thank you. Actually, it'll be 32 years come August 1st.
Wow.
And it's all with StreetsLA. We used to be called Street Maintenance back in the day, and we changed and evolved to Bureau of Street Services, and now StreetsLA as we rebranded to basically improve our image as we move forward into the future.
Okay, so what was the first job you got? I said light truck operator, and I'm sorry, I have no clue what that means.
That's actually, you're correct. I was a light truck operator. I started off working on a pothole truck, filling potholes on the street. That's after I left the Army, and I came back to the city, and I went to a job fair where Mayor Tom Bradley was. Oh. And so I, signed up. And basically, I was lucky to get called on by Bureau of Street Maintenance at the time. Wow. And so, yeah, I used to fill potholes back in the day working on the streets. I actually worked on paving crews, did motor sweeping, did concrete work throughout the time. And during that time, I went back to school through our Street Maintenance Technology program, and I learned about my vocation and what it means to work for the City of Los Angeles. I also got my undergraduate degree at Cal State Northridge in urban planning, which basically, if I apply to what we do today as far as in the urban environment.
Wow, okay, so you have seen so many parts. I mean, 32 years, the different areas that you've worked with within the department. Do you think you've seen every teeny corner and nook and cranny of the StreetsLA? Do you understand absolutely everything?
Well, basically, it's a lot to digest and unpack. But basically, I've seen a lot over the years. I've seen the changes. I've seen, our organization improve. I've seen our organization get better, smarter over the years. I can't say I've seen just about every nook and cranny of the City of Los Angeles from the street side and back of alleys and things like that, doing all the work that's involved with that.
All right. So the most recent position you held with StreetsLA was you were the assistant director. So you also got to see what this position that you now have does. What, as the assistant director, were you really excited about the direction that the StreetsLA was taking? What are some of the things that you feel very optimistic and positive about?
Well, I feel positive about everything. I've overseen our construction services division, our engineering division, our emergency operations division. I'm currently the racial equity officer, chief equity officer. And with that, the things that I've seen that have changed that we've really improved on in great stride is our sustainability and recycling over time. And so we're just getting better and better at that. And we're looking at, as I work to basically improve the durability of different materials to put back onto the street system that will last longer, I've basically been able to help oversee our recycling capabilities improve tremendously over the years to make a better, better products for the citizens of Los Angeles. And so those are things that I carry forward. And that actually leads into, what we're, I've been basically working with the, different people as far as on plastics, basically taking water bottles and other, plastic waste products and making that into a binder product to put back on city streets.
Okay, so we have to talk about that because I was going to get to it in a little bit, but now that you've brought it up, let's jump in. Plastic streets, oh my gosh, it sounds like a brilliant idea, but I don't have a clue as to what it all means. But it's almost a plastic asphalt scenario happening. There were tests being done. How did that all play out?
So we did our first test on First and Grand. It's not the plastic street per se the way you think about it. Basically plastic is melted down into what's called a binder product. And so that binder is mixed with other rock, and aggregates, rocks and sand, and basically put back into the street system. Very similar to the asphalt that's currently out there today. It's just using a different binder product. Instead of an oil, we're really using a more plastic-based, product. And what we're finding is that material is 6 to 7 times stronger than traditional asphalt materials as it solidifies onto the street. So our hopes are basically that will basically make streets last longer, reduce maintenance costs in the future, reduce maintenance repair for cars and vehicles and things of that nature to hold up to heavy vehicle bus traffic out there on city streets.
I read that LA is the first to try this. So are we sort of, are all eyes looking at Los Angeles when it comes to the potential of this particular industry?
Yes, so we've got a lot of calls from across the nation and also internationally in some cases to basically look at what we do, because the area that we picked basically has about 680 something buses that cross that particular intersection on a daily basis. Yeah. And so if it can hold up to that, it can hold up to anything. And so yeah, if we're successful in this, we'll be able to mass produce this product.
So what was the footage, or what was the area? You mentioned the streets, but how was it, like a city block or something?
Well, basically it's a left turn pocket in front of the Disney Hall, City Hall.
Okay.
Yeah, so right at First and Grand there, as you turn left going south onto Grand Avenue, right across from the Disney Center.
Can you tell the difference between that particular space and then the asphalt on the street? Does it look different?
Actually, no.
Doesn't look different.
You would never notice it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does it have any other properties? Does it stay cooler, or is it exactly the same in terms of temperature? Does it smell weird?
No. So it's an environmentally friendly product.
Okay.
That basically is produced at ambient temperature versus being, heated at, say 300 degrees. This one's basically produced on site. We reduced our emissions when it comes to trucking, things like that. Not having to produce asphalt at our asphalt plants, but basically it's a very safe product to use out there. It's eco-friendly, and we're doing considerable testing on that. But what you're maybe referring to is our Cool Pavement program that we're doing, to where basically we're putting white pigmentation onto traditional asphalt streets to basically turn them white. And basically what that does, it reduces the heat island effect, and it can reduce temperatures through the albedo effect by approximately, say, 10 degrees. So yeah.
Every dog in the city is going to be very, very, very happy that that actually happens.
Yes.
Because I know there's some very sincere issues about the heat. My last comment about the plastic enhancement to the asphalt. How much plastic would be used, and what does that mean from an environmental standpoint of being able to recycle? Because one of the issues with recycling is what's the byproduct of the recycling? How much is recycling even helping if it's not needed in some other place? How much recycling how many bottles does it take to do a little piece of?
Well, the potential is like thousands and thousands and thousands of water bottles and other waste plastics that can basically come directly from, say, our blue can waste stream. So that's something we'll work with Bureau of Sanitation on, potentially basically to bring that straight from households to a location to basically process and melt it down into the polymer binder, but basically without creating additional waste products, because we don't believe in throwing anything away at StreetsLA. Not only do we recycle plastic, but we recycle asphalt and we recycle concrete, and we don't send anything to the dumps.
Wow, that's fascinating. Okay, so let's go to the cool streets, because that's a huge issue, especially, there's climate change concerns, et cetera, and the heat factor has a lot of ramifications. I was joking about animals, but I would imagine just humans in general and the area. So how far along are we on Cool Streets LA?
So we're doing several pilots throughout the city. We have some ongoing projects that we've done several years back, and we have projects that we're doing now. And so what we're doing, we look at the environment for us as one infrastructure for us. So when we go out there to, say, maintain our streets and our sidewalks, we can add cool elements, products as far as to city streets. We can add shade and structure, hydration, things like that, to have a combined effect as far as to provide shade and reduce temperatures to reduce the heat island effect. One of the things that we saw that was interesting, one of our assistant directors that's currently working on that project partnered with, I want to say JPL, where you could look at it from a satellite from above.
Ooh,
and you can actually see.
imaging.
Yeah, they did heat imaging to where you can actually see the cool areas that we laid the cool slurry products down on.
That's fascinating. And all of these projects, are they all in experimental, or are they in rollout?
They're in rollout.
Okay.
And so basically we're still testing, of course, obviously, but basically we're improving and developing this product as we go along. And so we're looking to look at it as not only a cooling effect, but also as a pavement treatment itself.
So the whole idea of cooling LA goes beyond just the the pavement, et cetera. I know that there's a big, huge tree initiative, and I was fascinated to learn that StreetsLA, beyond just the streets, has an enormous array of areas that it focuses on. So I want to get into some of those, but let's just in a broad scope version. What are some of the arenas that StreetsLA looks at in terms of its responsibilities?
So for us, we look at everything in the right-of-way from sidewalk to sidewalk, curb to curb in the street, and all the assets that go with that: trees, parkways, curb gutter, asphalt materials, and things like that. So we have an asset management system. It's actually, we're going to track all these assets and look at where the areas of need are for sustainability and equity, and basically concentrate our resources there. We have a street investigation enforcement division that basically makes sure our right-of-ways are clear of obstructions and things of that nature. We have a urban forestry division that basically monitors our trees. We're doing a tree inventory now, and what we're finding is basically we do have a deficit in some of our tree wells of about 20 to 30%. We're still working on that. We're putting all that information, everything that we do with streets and all of our assets onto our asset management system to make it transparent, to show the public what we're doing and where our work's going to be. We have an advanced planning group that's tracking all this information, all this, this data and all this information I'm talking about. We're actually starting to track that and look at where the areas of needs are.
Oh my God, there's so many cool things in this regard. Let's tackle trees right now. There's a tree deficit, but there's also a tree plan. And I know that you just had a tree summit.
Yes.
How is the drought going to impact the ability for the city of Los Angeles to fulfill, and StreetsLA to fulfill its hopes in terms of putting trees in areas that need it?
So we're looking, definitely looking at that. We're looking at drought-resistant trees, things that can basically stand this, these new, as far as the climate heats up, we want trees that can, withstand that. And so we're working on that. We're trying to find the right species for the right place to plant, throughout the entire city. And also we do look at trees and shade as an equity issue.
True.
So where we do notice that in some areas of the city there's a lack of shade, out there. And so we want to concentrate on the areas to plant the right trees, the right species that are tolerant, that basically can, basically that will provide that shelter, shade that we need to provide the public.
Equity is a huge focus of attention for a number of reasons, and making areas sustainable and livable and enjoyable for people across the city, I know, is a very personal focus on yours. How are we doing in terms of livable areas in an equitable fashion here in LA? Are we improving?
So we are. So basically we're agnostic in how we apply our services out there to the public, but we need to do better. And you're right, we're looking at equity as an issue. We're actually doing a study right now as far as to determine the areas of need, because even though people call 311, everybody may not have access, say, to a smartphone to basically call into 311. So we don't, it may not be necessary for them to call if we're able to basically identify those areas and bring our resources, to bear to those to those given regions and work with the community. Because when we go in there to these different communities, we want to pave streets, trim trees, repair sidewalks all in once. And with our advanced planning, we're going to do like a 3 to 5 year plan to where we actually do that.
That's exciting. And then I know in terms of that, I mean, one of the areas is also, you may not be the transportation part of it, but you are where people access the transportation, the public transportation. And tech is really helping out there. I never thought about it, but you have a furniture department, if that's what you want to call it. I mean, it's far more elegant than what I just said, but there's a huge part of what you're doing, and I think it's actually called STAP or STAP?
Sidewalk Transit Amenities Program.
There you
STAP.
go. Okay.
So it's a street furniture program, basically. And we have about 1,900, say, bus-type shelters. And, we want to go forward into the future with smarter bus shelters to improve the ridership, as far as to improve people's experience as they, get onto mass transit. And so we want Wi-Fi, we want shelter, we want hydration in these areas. And so we want to improve that experience for the public. And you're right, when we look at the right-of-way, we just don't think about cars, and trucks. We think about pedestrians, we think about scooters, we think about bicyclists, to improve the experience for everyone out there.
So what's the plan with bus stops in the city? I mean, you said, I read somewhere about a public private public partnership, and you'd utilize this technology. So what can the bus stop of the future look like in LA?
So you could get like at the bus stop of the future, you could have Wi-Fi. You could have some cool amenities in there, basically to attract people, in addition to just simple shade. But you could also have like, say, PSA type advertisements in there, just things like that. But the main thing is like to where you may have like to where you'll be able to go to like, say, an Amazon hub to where possibly like, you get off at your last stop, last mile, and basically you may have a package ready for you at a stop like that. And so we're just looking at a smarter, future for us.
How is technology helping StreetsLA move forward? Obviously these studies and these partnerships, and you were saying the infrared, et cetera, but is it allowing you as the executive director to have a bird's eye view of everything that you guys are doing? I mean, how is it improving just the functionality of the department?
Well, basically, we rely on technology. Basically what we do, say, repairing streets, that hasn't changed. It's the technology that changes over time. And like, say, through technology, we're able to add, say, the plastics and the cool slurries that we talked about earlier. But technology is critical. And so we just invested in an asset management system that will help us be able to see all the areas of needs, all the assets in the right-of-way that, that we've talked about, so that we can better plan, the future, for our residents. And we want to basically give it that, smart Wi-Fi capability, partnering with our other city bureaus and departments like street lighting, sanitation, so forth, contract administration, Bureau of Engineering, and DOT, to where we're all talking to each other as far as using, if there's an issue at a particular street, we should all know about it. And basically we should all work together, and technology is a way that we do that.
So young Keith is a light truck operator, what was he ever driving around saying, if I was in charge, this is what I would do. If I was in charge, this is what I would do. As you progressively moved up the ranks within StreetsLA, did young Keith say, this is what I'm going to do when I'm in charge?
I did find opportunity here, and basically I found that through a lot of means, education and so forth. And so as I have developed and evolved over time, then I realized that yes, I could be that person basically helping make the right decisions through consensus, through analysis, through studies, through technologies and things like that. And as I continue to grow and develop, I'm finding that it's that I am that person that can do that through technology and other means, and with the help of people.
And I'm going to say that although you're looking outward towards the city in regards to what the needs are for the community at large, having the experience, kind of going up the ranks within the department, you can turn around and also look at what's happening internally and be able to sort of have a real good feeling about what's happening with the employees of StreetsLA. Do you think that that is something that that you're going to focus on too?
Yeah, one of my big things is workforce development, and you're right, I do know the employees intimately. I understand them, I understand what they're going through in this process as far as working at this organization. But yes, I'm able to work with them one-on-one. I have open lines of communication, but I want to focus back on them. I want to give back because I know how hard it is to basically work and try and go to school, raise a family and things like that. And basically now through technology, we're able to teach classes through Zoom and other means, where it's like we don't have to have in-place meetings per se, just for some of our teaching of our students, at StreetsLA. We're able to do that through Zoom and other technologies. But I want to give back to them and give them the tools that they can be successful. They can, they can grow within this organization as well. And if they want to aspire to be the director, the mayor, council member, Board of Public Works, I'm more than willing to help them do that.
What does someone not know about StreetsLA? What's one of the hidden gems or the wonderful attributes or even the services that maybe people at large wouldn't even think of when they think of what StreetsLA does?
Oh, that's a lot.
That's a lot?
Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah, but we're a unique organization in that we do all of our work ourselves, and that makes us unique in this industry. Most cities basically contract a lot of their work out, not StreetsLA. We do all the work in-house ourselves through design build type projects, through our workforce. We do our own paving. We own our own municipal asphalt plants. We own 2. And so that's very unique for a city organization, not just the nation, but throughout the world. Most places don't own most cities don't own their own asphalt plants.
No, I hadn't thought about that, but you're absolutely, I wouldn't have even thought that where are the asphalt plants, by the way?
So there's one in North Hollywood,
Okay.
off the 170 freeway in Sherman Way, and then there's one over by the old Sears building on Olympic Boulevard near Soto.
Oh, for heaven's sakes. All right, so how are we doing all of this remarkable innovation is very exciting and interesting, and I'm going to be talking about plastic streets now for a long time, but where are we in just terms of general upkeep? I mean, LA is a large city, LA is a very well-used city, and LA has got a lot of things happening in the near future if things calm down and we actually get to have the Olympics as planned. So where are we in just the general overview of our streets? Are they in good shape? Do they need some help? Are we moving in a good direction in that regard?
So if we were to pave every street today, the maintenance starts tomorrow. And so right now we're in good shape. Owning our own asphalt plants really helps that. And so I look at us as a manufacturer, and we produce asphalt on a daily basis. So that allows us to maintain control of our pavement condition index, our PCI, which is 70. Our overall street condition network is good. Can we do better? Yes. And so we're working towards that. That's where our asset management system and other means, plastics, more durable materials, will help us, get better. You mentioned the Olympics. We're already planning for the Olympics. We're already planning to basically deploy our resources to improve different areas. Not only do we want to do that, but in Los Angeles, our PCI has gone up over the years, where a lot of cities can't say that. And so we know what we need to do. At the same time, potentially, we could get federal infrastructure dollars coming to the city of Los Angeles that will be used on a lot of infrastructure projects, not just streets. But we're also looking to get grants and other things to help us, supplement us as far as to do our work. But overall, we're heading in the right direction. And the main thing you talked about it earlier is technology, to where we do advanced planning and we work smarter and deploy our resources where needed.
Our streets are being used for so many multiple purposes now. I mean, we're renowned for being a commuter city, but that's changing because we have public transportation, either putting in metros under the ground or buses on top, also bikes. And I think we're even becoming, strangely enough, a more pedestrian city. Yes. Because people are living where they're working. Or don't even have to commute to work. So how are you reorganizing it all so that all these multiple uses that are coming into play that may not have been in the original scope and scheme of things playing out? Is that kind of one of the puzzles that you have to work on a daily basis?
You're absolutely right. So when we think one infrastructure, we just don't build for, say, cars anymore. We build our roads to basically for pedestrians, for bicyclists, for scooters, for skateboarders, to use our street network and our system. So when we do our planning, we think about mobility, we think about safety, we think about how people cross the street. Basically when we come in, we want to make sure that, can we, do water capture, stormwater capture, things like that on our streets. So we think about, the right-of-way as one infrastructure holistically. And so basically we try and incorporate as many elements as we can within our projects.
So where's the dividing line? The freeways are not yours.
Correct.
The new bridges?
No.
Okay. So it's everything that within the city that is street level, and then all of these added additional things with the sidewalks, etc.
Yeah. So just to bore you with tidbits or
no,
details.
No, not at all.
So there's about 69,500 city blocks in the city of Los Angeles. 23,000 lane miles, or 6,500 centerline miles of city streets, 800 miles of alleys out there. I can't remember the exact detail, but say 10,000 miles of sidewalk, things on that scale, things like that. That's all part of the right-of-way that we help maintain and keep safe. And so when we're out there, that's where asset management systems help us capture all that data, see where all that data is. But at the same time, we do rely on the public to help us, identify issues or problems out there so that we can address them to make the streets and roads safe and passable. But it's advanced planning and data that will help us in this large arena. And just to let you know, the City of Los Angeles, our street network does not compare to a, say, normal municipality. It really compares to, say, a state DOT as far as
really?
a state highway DOT, just to the massive scale of it. And so we're out there every day, paving streets, fixing sidewalks, trimming trees, enforcing issues in the right-of-way to basically make it, safe for the public.
How much do you rely on the public's information, and whether it be a tree is down or a pothole's in the middle of my street, or just how they feel about things? How much does the StreetsLA rely on the voice of the people of Los Angeles?
So two things. One, we get several 100,000 service requests on an annual basis to different issues in the right-of-way. We engage community, neighborhood councils, stakeholders to help us, to listen to them, to see what they think, we should be doing. We work with them on the tree inventory, on bicycle lanes, things like that. So we really rely on them a lot. We're also trying to partner to get aggregate data sources, say using smartphones. That's kind of like the future that we're going to where if you're driving down the street, potentially, something on your phone or something else could capture, the data for a pothole, and we can respond to it.
Okay, so we're sitting here and 10 years have passed, and you have had this opportunity to watch LA change and morph and everything. What's your biggest hope and dream for StreetsLA as the executive director? And that's like, what do you want for Christmas? But just, you can try.
Well, no, so wait, not only do I think about today, I think about tomorrow, as far as that's when it comes to maintenance and things like that. If we plan right and do our maintenance right today, tomorrow maintenance costs will go down, in the future, in 20 years from now, because we did it right. I want to, basically also to look at sustainability and equity as, important driving forces for us to do our planning better, because we have to adapt to, to this climate adaptation, things like that, but at the same time provide equity. But if we do it right, our maintenance costs will go down in the future.
And the maintenance costs that go down then will directly affect the citizens of Los Angeles.
Yes.
Because they'll not have to pay for all of these improvements.
Correct.
Okay. Well, I hope that your present comes true. And I'm very, you were actually put in this position unanimously. There was not a dissenting voice in the room. That must have been fun for you.
That was, I really enjoyed that. And it was a great honor for the council to, vote for me unanimously.
Well, have you had a chance to enjoy any of this, or has it been work since the second you got?
It's been work since day one.
All right.
Yes.
Well, take some time and enjoy this remarkable opportunity, and I can't wait to hear updates. And I'm going to drive over to Disney Hall and see if I can tell where the plastic has been incorporated into the road. It's very exciting.
Okay.
All right. Well, thank you so much. And if people have they want to get information about StreetsLA, I'm sure it's a very simple website for them to sign on to.
StreetsLA.org.
There you go. It's perfect. All right.
Yes.
Well, thanks so much. Best of everything.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right.
And that's a wrap on this LA Currents.